Thinking Aloud. Conversations on the leading edge of knowledge and discovery with psychologist Jeffrey Mishlove.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jeffrey Mishlove. Our topic today is kinesthetic intelligence. With me is Samuel Ben-Or Avital, who is a master mime. He is the author of BodySpeak and the BodySpeak Manual. He is the director of the Center for Silence in Boulder, Colorado. He is also the author of the Invisible Stairway, Kabbalistic Meditations on the Hebrew Letters. Welcome, Samuel.
Welcome. Happy to be with you.
I'm very happy to be with you as well. You've spent more than half a century as an artist in the very particular art form of mime. And
right.
That's basically what you teach when you teach kinesthetic awareness.
Right. I developed out of that absorbing both my spiritual learning and the Western way of thinking, the physical movements and techniques that I learned in Paris, France.
You studied with Marcel Marceau
and the crew,
and Etienne de Creux, who was his teacher.
Yeah. But I was also in the company of Maximilien de Creux, and we performed.
Maximilian, his son, Etienne's son. So this was a very seminal time, and as I understand, you began that study in the 1950s.
I went to first in 1956 to the Festival d'Avignon, and then from there I went to Paris, went back to, and that's where I began to study with the crew first, and then Marceau and Maximilien, performing with him.
And the key to mime is that there are no text, there are no words, there are no props, maybe occasional props.
In mime, you have to be the Shakespeare of yourself, to write your own script, to perform it, to even write the music. Like one of the great examples is Charlie Chaplin. He wrote everything himself. He guided, he played everything, which is to tell you that today, you need a director, you need a thing, an interpreter, an ensemble of that, and when all that talent in one being, it's a fantastic example. Yeah. And so that's why I tell my students to write your own script. And it's all abstract. And that art form is to turn that abstraction into concrete through your physical motions and movements. Yeah.
You need to understand the subtlety of various movements, like a tiny little eye movement can contain enormous meaning.
It can actually make you cry or laugh, because I call that minimum movement, maximum expression. So that's why when you see today in the quote-unquote artistic world today, you see more gesticulations and movement without meanings. Especially actors in America.
Whereas
when an actor say, "I love you," the body is dead, and the words are empty.
Yeah.
So from the neck up, the body is dead. So that's why this art form and the way I developed my, if you want, method called BodySpeak, brings about that intelligence spread all over the body and not just one way. And then when it is in silent, it's more complicated. And here again, you have to simplify that complexity. So I developed what we call BodySpeak method.
Which contains many, many different exercises.
Yeah, which contains 10 principles of components in which each time we focus on one aspect of it. Learn it on the 3 phases of being, which is intellect, physical, and application. Means when I came to America and I saw the way people were educated, they were educated to be robotic. One brain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so in this way, I addressed the intellectual, then the physical, to manifest that which you talk about. And third is the application, how you apply it and become it. So when we're going through these 10 principles, to teach it, it's complicated, but with humor and what do you call it, taking the logic out, the rug of logic out of that, then you laugh, and then you begin to learn it, and it's easy, but it's very complex.
Well, the very concept of kinesthetic intelligence suggests that there's a wisdom inherent in the body itself.
That's right, it is in the body. For instance, when I demonstrate to my students that there is a movement and a movement, there is a dead movement and a physical and a breathing movement. And when you demonstrate that, most people do movements, it's mostly not meaning anything. And generally, when you begin to perform, that movement have to express something. Therefore, it has to breathe. So there is movement. Most of us do non-breathing movements like that. But when you do a breathing movement, you can feel the movement has meaning, and you can later give it meaning.
There is a school of movement practiced in anthroposophy, the teachings of Rudolf Steiner, called eurythmy.
Eurythmic. I'm familiar with eurythmy.
They talk about working with the etheric energies.
Right. But I don't use that language. I use much more accessible language, so my students can first learn the technicality of it, and then they could later add the meaning and the breathing, etc., and form a. That's why, for instance, if you learn yoga or qigong, what do you do with it?
Once you learn it,
what do you do with it? Okay, you're enlightened. What do you do with it? Okay, but here I indicate what do you do with it. And then when you practice it, you automatically, with your movements, meaningful, purposeful movements to serve the idea of that performance. So you can project that.
Well, now the term that I referred to earlier, etheric energy.
I don't know that word.
It's a pseudoscientific term that originated in a period when physicists wrongly thought that there was an invisible substance called the ether that was responsible for electromagnetic transmission. And it got picked up by various mystics of the 19th century at the time. So that's how it came into our popular culture. But you integrate, and we've done a previous interview now on Kabbalah. Behind all of your work in kinesthetic intelligence, although you're not explicit about it with your students, but it's based on a deeper understanding of spirit and mind and consciousness that comes out of Kabbalah.
I call it the conscious innocence. Which is a contradictory term. That you have to be innocent consciously. How can you read that?
It sounds like what the Zen people call beginner's mind.
Whatever you want to call it. That state is, again, in BodySpeak, you learn to understand the paradox. You learn to become the paradox. Accepting this and that. There is no this and that. There is only that. Whatever, but it is demonstrated. People can feel it, physicalize it, perform it, and having fun with it. So the learning is not like all the learning that you have to suffer to learn. No, not in this way.
Well, my sense is that you and I could talk and talk and talk about it, but you're able to communicate it through your body in ways that don't involve words.
Therefore, that you have to teach the body. The body is a tool. It's a symphonic tool. This is your only musical instrument, the body. You are a pianist, you have the piano. You use only the hands, right? But you have to practice it. You are a violin, you have this. In these BodySpeak Mime techniques, I am the instrument. I am the player of that instrument. It's different. So therefore I have to understand. So that's how I develop these way of working to teach every part of the body to do every possible movement.
Simultaneously the dancer and the dance.
Something like that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
You have to become that.
Yeah.
And therefore, there is a need of acting. So it's not just physical.
Yeah.
You can be physical virtuoso, the best, but it's dead. But when you add that dimension of meaning, form, etc., story, etc., you can project that.
Yeah.
And most complicated is without words. No talking about it, which is fascinating.
It's fascinating to me for several reasons.
Yeah, why?
And one of them is that there are some things that words can't express in any case.
Right. So you go to that dimension again, which is a Kabbalistic, silent, empty, as they say, halal panui dimension, in which what I call artistic zero. And artistic zero in BodySpeak is a physical structure or posture from which you're totally in. And so you can, from that artistic zero, you can go right and left and dance or whatever you do. But you have to establish that. First, it's a physical form too, but it's also a state of being.
It also is about inner freedom, isn't it?
That's good, yeah. If you are, it's not difficult to achieve or to have. Therefore, you have certain freedom of movement, certain control of your body, etc. Certain limitations of the body which you can use, right?
Yes.
To create that illusion of something that is not there and suddenly it's there. So a kind of a magic-like way. But it is specific tools and skills that can be learned, technologically speaking, but when you add the artistic sphere, how to project it, then there is an article in my book called the three pillars of becoming an artist.
The 3 pillars.
Of becoming an artist.
Okay.
In which I describe these states from learning the physical movements, the skills, the apprentice, and then the master. Something like that.
Okay. Well, the artistic zero, very important in your work.
Yeah.
It is analogous, I believe, to the Kabbalistic Aleph.
Probably, yeah. Silent Aleph. Yeah. And since when we learn to be and become that in BodySpeak, I teach that because you can talk about it.
Yeah.
You can, in this dimension, you can play Hamlet in 10 minutes and not 3 hours.
How so?
Because you can dance the whole motion. You don't talk.
Ah.
You don't say to be or not to be. When you perform, you be and not be. So again, the paradox, but it is possible through the movements. If you know, there is what I call also composition. It's a musical, if you want, analogy piece.
Many years ago, I studied Tai Chi.
Tai Chi is beautiful.
Tai Chi,
It's
and the Tai Chi teacher told me that the best Tai Chi is when you're always right at the edge of hilarity.
Right. So one of the second principles I call the edge.
Yeah.
And in the edge, everybody face the greatest fears of falling, the greatest shyness, etc. You have to face it. But not knowing the intelligence of the body, if I incline this way, right, you think I'm going to fall, everyone.
Yeah.
But if you do it right, the feet will come and support you.
Yes.
But the people don't know that. They didn't train the body that way. I'm afraid to fall, and people fail physically. And so the idea is to go beyond the edge. That's physically. Now, when you project that to your situation in life, there are many edges in life. The psychologists will deal about, right?
Oh, yes.
Not me, because that's not my field. My field is say I go beyond the edge. Well, you want me to die? You want me to fall? What? No. Discover that intelligence in the body that will support you. The body will support you. But you don't trust it, you don't know that it is possible. And the workshop, people discover it, and they use it.
In other words, the body teaches them.
Yeah. You introduce that intelligence that it is possible, but not by telling him how to do it. I'm not a how-to-do teacher. There are billions of books of how to do, right?
Yeah.
No. You have to take the people to the experience in a seductive way. To come to the edge.
Yeah.
Come to the edge. And then, as the poet will say, and they came.
Yes.
And come to the edge, and they came. And in the end, come to the edge, and they pushed them. Oh. And so we have those edges, mental edges that we spoke about, limitations, etc. There are physical limitations that we have to acknowledge, but we have to overcome them and go beyond that limitation. For instance, there are movements we do in different ways. Turning the head.
Yeah.
You can't turn it 360 degrees.
No.
Well, what happens when you turn it just half of that, 180?
You would probably strangle yourself.
No, you'll discover the spine.
Ah.
Not really. That's the pivot again. Turning around itself, you know. Because if you go to the edge of this, you know, automatically the spine will turn with you. So you discover the circle.
I see.
And so all these dimensional forms of the body, you know, we explore them. I call it corridors.
Corridors.
Yeah. Corridors of movement. Yeah.
Because we have hundreds of bones and hundreds of muscles.
I call it body speak.
Yeah.
In other words, it has its own language. So in other words, you can learn body language too.
Well, you know, in our previous interview on Kabbalah, you quoted a passage from Scripture about what inspired you.
It's called Kal Atzmotai Tomarna. It's from a verse in the Psalms. All my bones speaks the greatness and the uniqueness of the Creator.
Yeah.
That's who is like unto you.
All my bones
Speaks.
speak.
Tomarna, utters actually, the word utterance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just speak. The Aleph, for instance, has 3 phases, and it's the most natural, utter cosmic sound. And then it comes to the tongue, and so you have the throat, tongue, and the mouth.
In order to say the word Aleph.
The utterance,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And say when you say the Aleph, you uttered all the sounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we suffer, when we die, is the undulations of the organic movements of the breath, of the spine, and is breath. So connect the dots, if you say.
All of that in the silent letter.
In the silent letter. But there are, each letter has its own unique expression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just as each corridor in the body.
Each corridor or each joint has a place. And then when you do the whole movement, when the whole body moves, it lives. And most of us, for instance, they can't do that movement or that movement, right?
Yeah.
Because of different physical limitations, you know. Because they think that the body is just a thing to go from A to B, Z. For me, it's my instrument of living.
Yeah.
My instrument. I have to train it. No matter how age I am, no matter how old I am. That's not the point. And when you learn that when you are young, it's fascinating.
Because most of us, I think, grow up...
The vessel, as the Kabbalah will call it.
In America, we have this idea, if you feel your body, it means you're sick.
Oh, no. I think the most diseases that comes in America, you know where they are?
No.
In the gyms. Because in the gyms, they teach to mechanize the body.
Yes.
The machine is the one that makes you move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we think of our bodies like machines.
I can do the weight without weight, and it has the same thing.
Yeah.
The same thing.
Yeah.
The same thing. You use the same muscle without weight. And so I find it's harmful for the bodies, and people like it. It's very popular. Yeah.
Well, and gymnastics is less about the wisdom of the body, and less about kinesthetic intelligence.
Again,
as it is about, winning awards. And
right. And one of the secret of understanding this BodySpeak is slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to move that you move, you don't even know it's moving. By the time you're aware of moving, it's already there.
Yeah.
Or like when you have a little ball like that,
Mm-hmm.
like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it can become, and then it becomes smaller. It depends the dimension and space between these. And once when you have it, you eat it. It's a pill,
Yeah.
It's a health pill without pill.
Mm-hmm. So you can communicate through your body things that you
you cannot say.
You cannot say. I get that. Yeah.
For instance, you can human emotions.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if I want to express strength, weakness, I have to be strong. Muscle have to be strong.
Mm.
I mean, the body must be strong to express weakness.
Ah.
Like if I'm an old man, like if I want to stand and express weakness, I have to make an effort to make a stand. I have to make an effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Or if I'm using, as I told you, that piece, the rendezvous, right?
The rendezvous.
The boy waiting for the girl
Okay.
in a bench, a public bench,
Yes.
Champs-Élysées.
Yes.
Well, he's waiting for her. Is she coming or is she not coming?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the story.
Yeah.
But in the story, he's waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
It is worse than waiting for Godot.
Mm-hmm.
But in waiting, people don't know how to wait. Have you been post office lines? People don't know what to do with themselves
Yeah.
when waiting.
Mm-hmm.
They're bored.
We
So
get
how
bored.
can I make my boredom intelligent to my viewer?
Yeah.
That's complicated, but you have to simplify it,
Mm-hmm.
make it interesting,
Mm-hmm.
so they can laugh at my boredom.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Repeating some movements to such a degree is absurd. What am I doing here? But you have different ways of understanding
So
it.
and you're communicating at an emotional level.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's a strong emotion, but I'm not saying I'm emotional. No, you are the emotion.
You're not telling, you're showing.
Yeah, with the old pantomime, he says, I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sleep. In other words, you translate the movement with the thing.
Yeah.
In Mime, or BodySpeak, you are there. You are. If you want to sleep, don't tell me you're going to sleep. Sleep!
Uh-huh.
Go to the action. Go to the, something like that.
Yeah. Now, there is an approach in psychotherapy, has different names, but the idea is that if you have a problem to solve, all of the answers are in your body.
That's right. It stores it in the body. Your feelings are stored in the body. Your story is stored in the body. Like the letter stores that knowledge. Same thing. So in Mime, I am the painter. I am the brush. I am the color. But in here, the space is my canvas. My emotions are the feelings, So I have to master certain things in my body to project that, because I don't have words. And that's why, for instance, to perform in different parts of the world, you don't need language. You can tell them.
Now, earlier in our interview on Kabbalah, we referred to this three-dimensional world, the world of the body, as a prison.
Yeah.
But when we talk about kinesthetic intelligence, I don't get any sense that you feel imprisoned.
No. Physically, at least. And later on, when you understand that you are in a prison, your great wish is to get out of it. How? You have discovered your free choice.
Yeah.
Like there was a piece I did once in La Mama in New York about the puppet and the puppeteer. I don't know if I told you that.
No.
But the puppet, you see the puppet, but the puppeteer is up there, and you see how it works, the whole the isolations we do.
Yeah.
And Suddenly the puppet wants to rebel. It wants to be itself.
Yes.
So it invents a scissor to cut the umbilical cord. Told you that.
Yeah.
A puppeteer. So it cuts all the rule, the puppeteer, and he's free. And then all the audience know it's free. Suddenly, by the end, hop. It's not free. It's still connected. Still. Hey, and it ends like that. What happens? Hey, puppeteer, why do you hang up? You're hanging. So you see, I can't say that with words. I say that with words now, but when you illustrate it to a movement or two, it's fascinating.
It's a way of making a very complex idea
It's a silent communications between the puppet and the puppeteer. What happened? I want freedom. And what's going on? I cut the tail, the illusion that I cut the strings, the umbilical cord.
It seems like that's a metaphor for the human condition.
Also.
Yeah.
But I don't say it.
You don't need to.
You say it.
Yeah.
You say the human condition. That's better than telling it to you.
Indeed.
So there are things that we can talk about.
Yeah. Well, Samuel Avital, this has been a joyous experience.
Well, thank you. Merci beaucoup.
You have devoted your life to these wonderful arcane arts, and I love sharing the joy of your expression.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with me.
Yeah.
And thank you for being with us.
Thank you.